Hello everybody, welcome to Tales from the Tackle Shop. My name is Andy Page and as always my co-host is Alex Bates. Evening Alex, how are you?
Evening Andy, yeah, not too bad mate, not too bad. Drying out again after the weather at the weekend and hopefully we can put the rain behind us and have some dry days and dry all the kit out. But yeah, fishing wise it's been steady, so yeah, all good mate, really Andy.
Perfect. Well, as people may or may not know, it's actually Monday night now, so you've had a whole 24 hours to dry out. Unless you're a daft so-and-so like myself, I'm still soaked from today. I don't know why I went out. I saw the forecast and thought, it's full moon, hunter's moon. You know what us pike anglers are like. No good. No, soaked. Anyway, so myself and Alex are slowly drying out, but today is a fantastic day because we've got our first guest on, and we've got Match Angler Supremo, Mark Pollard. So, Mark, you're there somewhere in the ether. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Good evening, Alex.
Evening Holly.
And if you've not dried it, I've definitely not dried it because I was coaching today and I got absolutely soaked again. The guy's fished on my tackle, sat under my umbrella, and I've stood at the side of him. Well, not soaked to the skin, but just it hasn't stopped. Worse than yesterday. So absolutely horrendous weather.
So all three of us are going to be squeaking then, aren't we? Because we're all wet. Anyway, right, Mark. Myself,
back in Ireland.
Myself and Alex are really thankful for you giving up your time tonight. So thank you for that. It's great.
No problem.
Now,
no problem.
I've heard of you. I do keep a little eye on the match scene, but obviously, hopefully, we've not just got match anglers listening into the podcast. So I think the way to start this off, if you could just give the listeners an introduction, please, and on yourself.
Yeah, no problem. Been fishing since I was probably about 7. Started match fishing junior matches when I was about 10 years old with Luton Angling Club. Worked my way up through the ranks, through the inter-club matches, the club matches, then started the open matches. Started fishing with an open match team that was called Black Horse then, that changed the name to Image Black Horse. And then progressed with them, and a company was started up with them that I was involved with making float image angling products. And then from them, I went on to fishing with ABC and working for Terry Freeman and Stuart Arnold, ABC Tackle. And they sponsored Trev's Browning that won all the nationals, and I started doing well in the opens and got individually sponsored by Browning Tackle. And then just worked my way up. I've done a little bit of van sales, fishing tackle. Then I eventually started to work for Terry Freeman at Browning full time. And then when I left there, we started up a float making company, which was Image Angling Products. And then when I left there, I went to Fox Match as the brand manager. Was there for about 12, 13 years, and then I got approached by Shimano that was involved with Dynamite to go fishing full time, and I'm still fishing full time now. I've got a small float range that I go around about 60, 70 shops that I handle myself, a bespoke range with some wagglers, and I was sponsored by Dynamite Baits, and I got approached by Hinders to do my own ground bait range, which I brought out nearly 2 years ago. That's doing very well, and we're adding to that all the time. And also started coaching, taking people out with days coaching. I used to take people out for birthdays and things and going fishing full time. I thought I'd just bring that into the fold and do coaching, and that's gone from strength to strength. Wow. It's days like today when you get absolutely wet, you think, But no, that's basically my background, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I mean, how many years does that span roughly, total?
Probably from when I was probably 26 years old, probably going fishing sort of full time. Well, I say full time, but been involved in the industry, so that's probably 20 years.
Wow.
Sorry, 30 years.
30, fantastic.
20 would make me 46. I wish I was.
You took 10 years off, I don't blame you. I do the same trick as well. So, I mean, looking back then, would you ever believed you'd have got to where you are now, or is it just something you've always had?
No. Always when I was at school, I wanted to fish for England. That was the main thing. but my eyes got opened up a little bit when I got involved in it. So I fished for England, I think 5 times home at the national level. And it wasn't what I thought it was. I think it's more important for team and individual success rather than fishing for your country. It wasn't what I thought it was. Yeah. And I just get a great kick out of winning any match, be it team or individual, and just fishing open matches. Just every day is different.
Yeah, that is great.
Just never stop learning.
I think what we'll do, I mean, you've got a wealth of knowledge. I know Alex wants to pick your brains for the listeners on just loads of different methods, but I've got
to go now, sorry.
But I'm going to come back later with the coaching, because we must remember that, because that is something that myself and Alex are really keen on, is trying to promote the youngsters into the sport, and I think the coaching element for me is really interesting as well. So I know Alex has got loads of questions, and I know people have been going into the tackle shop this week and asking him questions that he thought he could propose to you. So everyone's going to be really happy now. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Alex take over.
Yeah. I'm glad he's gone, Alex.
Yeah, and those pie tankers,
He was a pain, wasn't he?
I'm still here. I'm in the background checking, listening.
He can still hear us.
Yeah, he's still here. Yeah. He's the annoying one that goes up and down the river just as you're about to pack away in the March Opens. That's
Tony's lures behind him.
That's the one.
Yeah, and saying it was that big. Yeah.
I'm going after your keep nets this year, boys, so be careful.
Right, Mark.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you've just come back from Ireland. We want to sort of ask you a few questions about Ireland. So, which festivals did you fish this year in Ireland?
Well, I fished the World Pairs, which obviously I'm out with you out there. You fished that for the first time.
Yeah.
I fished 5 festivals. The World Pairs was the first one. The second one's the Fermanagh Cup, which is the biggest one out there. Yeah. And then the Horseshoe, the Coot Hill, and then the Carrigallen was the last one. And as you know, the weather was horrendous this year out there.
I mean, for those that have never been to Ireland, I mean, your setup and stuff like that has to be spot on, doesn't it, for the weather? But this year it proper tested everyone's kit.
Yeah.
I mean, having the right platforms and side trays and just the platform being weighted down was a massive thing. Going back to the festivals, obviously the Fermanagh Cup is probably the biggest attended one. Is that the most prestigious one out of all of them?
I would say, that's one I'd probably like to win. I fished it when it first started. I think this is its 5th year or 6th year.
Yeah. 6th year, I would have said, isn't it?
Year. It was 150 anglers this year. I think 2 dropped out, something happened, but it was booked at 150. And that's all, for people listening, it's like Northern Ireland on the Erne system, which, as you know, it's tremendous fishing for the hybrids. I mean, people go to Ireland to catch a Loch Erne hybrid because it's just a fish unlike any other fish. The fight in it, the look of them, just unreal. Just if you've not experienced it, anyone listening wants to go to Ireland, fish the Erne system, catch some of them hybrids, and you'll be hooked. It's a drug.
I mean, I've fished quite a bit in the south of Ireland, around Cavan and that sort of area, and people have always said, "Oh, you want to go to the north? You know, bigger line, bigger hooks, and things like that." And I sort of think, well, is that right? Do you need to fish that heavy and things like that? But they're just so aggressive, aren't they? Out there. I mean, size 10s with 3 and 4 red maggots and really long tails. It's just a really it's a fun way of fishing, and they're like proper carp bites, aren't they? When you get one,
it is. But what's amazing is anglers that fish 020, but in layman's terms, it's like 10-pound line, 12-pound line, size 10 hook, 4 or 5 floating red maggots that we can talk about, floating maggots.
Yeah.
The line's that thick because it becomes stiffer in the water, so it gives it a slower fall with a big hook and floating maggot. So it floats for a while, but it slowly sinks, but just enough time for them big hybrids to grab it.
Yeah.
And them hybrids can smash you on 020 on the way in. And that's, a carp would never smash you on 020, not in open water, but a hybrid will. And it only has to be 2 to 3 pounds and it will just smash you. It's just such a powerful fish.
Yeah.
An easy fish to catch, and yet such a hard fish to catch sometimes.
Yeah, they seem to, sort of, I've noticed this year, you sort of get 3 or 4 real quick, and then you have to sort of change and do something like go a little bit further or change your mix a bit. Or they're the easiest fish and then the hardest fish to keep them coming, aren't they?
That's what I find amazing with that. You're fishing a vast expanse of water in front of you, and all of a sudden, in 3 casts in that open water, in probably 20 foot of water, you can catch 3 or 4 £1.5, £2 hybrids. How many are there, and why on your 4th or 5th cast don't you get another one? And that could be it the rest of the match. What happens? Where do they go?
Yeah,
there can't be just half a dozen of them.
Bought them all, can you really?
No, there must be thousands of them. But just what happens? It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I mean, I know I fished the World Pairs and a lot of anglers were talking about the depth and stuff like that. I mean, and the count and stuff. What is your views on that? I mean, they were sort of saying a count of 9 or 11, stuff like that.
To find out where the hybrids are?
Yeah. I mean, I know towards the end of the week, people were saying they've got to chuck a bit further as they've sort of backed away from the angling pressure.
Well, you can get them on the pole line, but more down the south. But on the Earn system itself, normally they're sitting out 40 to 55 metres out. They sit out there. I think it's just where the water deepens off. It's where they're coming in. Maybe there's a slight ledge that holds natural food. Because obviously there's a lot of zebra mussels that are out there where people get cut off and that, and they tend to be on the ledges going down because they can not cut through your braid, but they can cut through it a little bit, so the slightest tension, and then your line breaks or your braid breaks, and think, well, how's that broke? Well, it's because you've been zebraed. They've caught hold of it, and that's where you get an angle when your line or your braid is going over that edge, and then fish are sitting over that edge, and I think that edge holds food.
Can I just put in for a minute, boys? Can I just put in? Because I use a Hummingbird Helix side imaging unit when I go pipe fishing on big waters or even the drains. I've noticed with the bream shoals, they are never still. They're always moving, and they tend to go. They're going like single file. It's really strange, but they're always on the move. And I quite a long time ago, we used to fish Derg, and we used to catch the hybrids late at night when they used to come in last knockings into the harbour. But it didn't matter what bait you put out, you'd never hold them, and you didn't have to put any bait out. They'd come in, you catch loads, they'd scoot out. It was amazing. And we weren't match fishing, but just from what I've seen with, I know we're talking about hybrids here, but the bream probably must act the same way. On these big waters, there's a lot of current on these places as well. I mean,
and probably takes the food.
I don't
think the food.
I don't think you can put enough food out there in a match to hold them. I think it'd be impossible. And
I think you're right. Now I think because they're grazing. Imagine like sheep in a field that you've got a field full of grass and they're grazing and they move, don't they? They tend to. Why don't they stay and eat all that grass while they move? Why move? Just eat all that grass there. But I think it's just what they're moving.
But also, you said
probably thinking they might find some better grass or some better food. I just think they come moving through.
Yeah, they're such great fighters as well. That must be because they've built up a lot of muscle fighting the currents that they have to contend with.
Well,
So I should imagine they're fish that by instinct don't tend to graze. They're probably not like bream are as such. So they're probably a bit more on the move, a bit more flighty. I don't know. I mean, I might be completely wrong, but that's just my observations from obviously predator fishing when I try and find
the most important thing that people forget is that when you're fishing these big locks and you're casting the feeder out, a lot of your bait, I'm a great believer in the window feeders, so they take the particle bait down. But you've got bait coming out your feeder from when it hits the surface, and if you're in 25, 30 foot of water, all the way down. So you've got feed coming out all the time, and those fish, there's no way they're grazing on the bottom. They're feeding mid-water, 2/3 down, even up near the surface, because when the lakes go, these big lots go flat calm, and occasional times you'll see fish topping out in probably 30 foot of water. So they're not down at the bottom because it's warmer layers above. So, and that's why you catch these hybrids when you go in. As soon as you go in and the tip goes round, because they're taking it before it gets to the bottom.
Yeah. So what sort of ground bait mixes and that do you use out there?
Well, I'll obviously push my own mixes, but I think a hemp-based mix is very important for hybrids and bream.
Yeah.
But obviously I designed a range of ground baits with hinders, and the supercharged natural black that I'm hooked on, because it is very much hemp based.
It's very
dark
coarse,
mix.
It's got a hemp in, hasn't it? Yeah.
It's a dark mix. And then we launched, I said we need a finer one with less feed. And we launched one that's a Canal extra fine mix. And it's a lot finer mix. And it's got just a fraction less than what the actual food value in the mix has got. And what I like about the mix I've done with him is it's all natural base. There's no added salts in there that bulk it out. And the actual mix is like it's a wild mix, so to speak. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it works very well on the fens and in Ireland. Mm-hmm. And bringing in this fine one for the canal that's just got a bit of less food in it. Because the thing is, if you fill the fish up with what you're feeding them, that's it. You ain't going to catch as many. So if you can keep them there feeding, and with a groundbait mix, it's got less food content. So I'm hoping that with the canal one that we've brought out, that it's going to be very good on the fens come this winter campaign.
Yeah,
I used it yesterday, Sunday, and it worked very well. So
yeah, we'll come on to marching later on when we go through the match results. That's all right.
But that's the ground bait I'm using out there, Alex. And I know a lot of anglers are cotton on to it, using it out there. There's a guy, Richard Peoples, who's distributing it out there, and him, in fact, he's actually hooked on it because he won the band festival last year. He hadn't won a festival up to now, and he's just over the moon. He just wants to know what is in the mix. I said, well, I can't tell you. It's a secret.
yeah. So the Fermanagh is obviously in the north, and I do believe the Horseshoe's in the north as well. And I think you won that festival again this year, did you?
Yeah, I won it last year. I've won it 2 years running now, and that's fished on the Erne system as well.
Yeah.
And that's run by Roddy from the pub The Horseshoe. I don't know how many years it's been running, but it's gradually got bigger and bigger because, as you know, the fishing in Ireland's become that popular over sort of the last 3 or 4 years. I think with the World Pairs coming on board, that people are looking to go into Ireland, and all the festivals are selling out.
Yeah,
I think it was 70 anglers last year, and it was 970 anglers this year for the Horseshoe. And they limit at that. They won't take any more, so they can put enough pegs on the venues for anglers to catch fish.
Yeah. I mean, it's stunning fishing out there, isn't it? I mean,
the views, Alex. When you sit there, the views.
It's mad.
It's
I mean,
and the wind.
in Inishfava, is it? I was on one of the islands.
Yeah, Inishfava,
Wednesday, and the wind just dropped, and you just look, and it is just stunning, really stunning.
When you whipped out 20 kilo.
Not quite. I had 19 kilos. So nearly.
Really,
all roach. I had a lovely day.
Lovely day fishing, that is.
But, it was good. And then after the Horseshoe, is it the Coat Hill?
After the Horseshoe was the Coat Hill Festival, yes.
Yeah.
That's down.
You won that again?
South. Yeah. I fished it 6 years. I won it 4 times and had 2 fourths.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet. That is an incredible result in a festival to have a run like that.
So that's Southern Ireland, is it not? Yeah.
That is Southern Ireland.
There's a bit more pole fishing in the south.
There is a lot more pole fishing in the south because they're not big locks as such. Although some of the lakes are big, Lochsillan or Lakesillan as they call it, is a big lake, and we fish just a small piece of it. A piece called the Caravan Park and a piece called Sillan Deeps. And Sillan Deeps is the place I've seen that's got the most roach I know of. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, beautiful. Gold, isn't it?
Yeah. 20 kilos of roach, sort of 2 to 6 ounces, just immaculate, brilliant fishing. But there was go on, sorry.
And do you find a lot of the fishing out there is like sort of similar fishing to how we fish with squats and pinkies here? It's loose feeding casters and fishing through the water.
Yeah, it's what a lot of the locals. I say a lot of locals. It's a lot of English that live out there now that fish the festivals. Right. You've got very few the Irish fish the festivals around. You've probably got of 100 anglers, you might have probably 20 fish. 20 that are Irish, but in the south, it's more of a percentage.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot of the Irish lads that don't loose feed, and it's so important.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing in more fish that are going down on your feed, and you're just drawing them all the time. If you don't loose feed, and as you know, you get a lot of fish on the drop.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as the rig weights up and goes to settle.
Yeah, I find it very similar to air fishing. I mean, obviously, I didn't go to Ireland. I've been going 7 years now, or 8 years.
Yeah.
In the days when you're catching like £100 a roach on the pole and power gum and swinging like 12-ounce fish to hand, fishing 4 and 6 gram floats. It's very much just only a little bit stepped up English style. To be fair, it's like the Fens, really, but they're a bit deeper.
I was just about to say that the fishing we have here, especially through the winter where the fish get shoaled up in certain areas, and it's no different to Ireland, is it? You have 5 or 6 pegs on one shoreline, another shoreline, and it's
very
just
like
the same.
Like the 20-foot when the roach are there. Very similar fishing. You step up a bit, you're fishing 010. I'm fishing 010 on the pole in Ireland most of the time. That's good enough. If you're catching a lot of fish, maybe 012. I had to fish 014 though on the horseshoe when I had 33 kilo 13 tench. Unbelievable. And using the puller bung, which I never thought I'd use in Ireland.
What sort of depth on that would you catch them tench in?
It's only got 9 foot of water.
Nice.
And there's Crom River and Crom Lake. Crom River's narrow, Crom Lake's wide because it goes off into a big area, so they call it the lake. But it's still part of the Erne system. But obviously you get these big bays where it comes off, and obviously tench get in there. And these tench obviously come along onto the shoreline. We've only got, I think, 7 pegs we had along there, and the fish have come along there. It's normally hybrids, but there's always been odd tench there, but no, a lot of tench. I think Lee Wright in the Fermanagh Cup had 7 or 8 tench. Then the day before I drew the peg, trying to think of his name now, Terry Bintley had 18 tench and 1 roach for 26 kilo, and I drew it the next day and had 13 tench, a big hybrid, but I had 12 kilo roach as well. Yeah, I had 33 kilo off it. And the next day, Tony Green, who used to live in England at Warrington, moved over there, he's lived in Ireland for the last 5 or 6 years now. He drew the peg, ever so excited, 9 kilo.
Yeah. So it just shows your luck, really, doesn't it?
Well, there you go, yeah. Better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, definitely. Well done, mate, anyway.
Cheers.
And then the last of the 5 weeks, I think you fish more familiar territory to I'm used to, which is the, what's it called now? The
Carrigallen?
Carrigallen, that's the
Carrigallen, yeah. The last 5 days, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
That was
the
last
water
festival.
levels really affected it, didn't it?
Oh, Alec, it was ridiculous. They could only fish Lake Garradise and one section at Rockfield.
Yeah.
So, the water level, I'll tell you how much the water come up. Lake Garradise is a massive lake. You could fit the whole of Peterborough in Lake Garradise. Yeah. It's massive. And it was a beautiful day the Friday before I come home the last day. And I was on the section called the Grassy Bank. I got the platform in. And during the 5-hour match, the water came up just over 8 inches. Now, you work that vast expanse of water, for it to come up 8 inches, and we didn't have no rain that day. It was flat, calm, beautiful sunshine. It's the rain coming off the grass, off the road, still going into the lake. But how much water is that for that to come up 8 inches? That's a huge amount of water.
Yeah, I remember fishing at Gulladoo, which I think they do use in that festival.
Yeah, well, we couldn't use Gulladoo because it was just right up the steps, unfishable.
Yeah, I remember sat there and my platform was sort of just under the water and my box platform was just over. And by the end of it, I jumped off my box and it was ridiculous how much it had come up.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
You've put up with that for the fishing because the fishing is fantastic. And anyone that's not experienced it and's thinking of going, they need to get themselves out there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of anglers come in the shop and ask me about festivals and different bits and bobs.
Yeah.
And for me, the King of Clubs and the Arva and the Gowner, them festivals are a really, really friendly festival. You haven't got too much travelling. For someone sort of going out there, they're the ones I'd recommend. Fantastic fishing. You've got a bit of feeder and a bit of pole as well, whereas the north does tend to be a little bit dominated by the feeder sometimes, but believe it or not, this year there was quite a few fish caught on the pole, wasn't there? I think there'd been more fish caught on the pole this year. It just wasn't for the weather because the wind, as you know, them locks, you get just a small amount of wind up there and it's just, you just can't hold the pole. It's just horrendous. It's just like having your hands cut off. Yeah. I mean, obviously you're sponsored by Matrix Poly and they do some good platforms.
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
If there's an angler going out there for the first time, what piece of equipment would you suggest is a sort of a must, or what you've been really impressed with the most?
I would say a platform. I mean, I helped design, because being a consultant with Matrix, the Duralite platform. And I think next month the Mark II version comes out.
Yeah, hopefully.
Order. It adjusts so it fits any box that's on the market. It's lightweight, and it's had purpose-drilled holes all throughout the platform that's aluminium. So as when you take it out and you put it in the water, it takes the water in, and it's there. It's on the bottom, because with the original version I've got now, you have to hold it underwater for it to take in water first of all. So it's got the weight, so it stays there.
Yeah.
But that's the most important thing, is having a platform that'll hold you, that's rigid.
Yeah.
And I mean, that piece of kit, I think it's probably the cheapest platform on the market.
It is, yeah. It's practical as well, isn't it? The fact that it all folds away and goes down in the bag. And if you're short on space in your motor, you got two anglers travelling to Ireland. You know,
exactly.
That's a
it
lot
folds away in the bag. It's 4 pieces, and then the legs. It's brilliant. Absolutely. But you don't need loads of legs, because although they relax the rule this year because of the waters, the levels, there is a rule. It might be 600 mil you're allowed. So you only want 4 legs. You don't need loads of different legs. Sell it at that. Go out. Your front legs are obviously got to be just a little bit taller, because your back, it's to the back of the platform, it's a 600 mil, or if they say 800 mil or a metre, it's the back of the platform. So even if the front's 2 metres deep, it doesn't matter. It's the back of the platform as you get on.
Yeah.
And to be fair, 600 mil is about the maximum for me to get onto my platform, being small. It's over my head.
Yeah.
I can hear Andy laughing in the background.
I'm not the tallest as well. I'm thinking we're going to have no heightist jokes on this podcast.
No.
Mark, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you? Was there a 5-week stint you did over in Ireland this year?
Yeah, 5 weeks. Well, I've done 5 weeks last 4 years, I think.
Did you come back in between, or did you stay out there for the 5 weeks?
No, stayed out the whole time. And it is very tiring.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I go on a boat for 2 or 3 days on the bounce, I'm absolutely shattered. So 5 weeks is a long time. I've written down on my little notepad here, bait. How on earth did you go about getting enough bait?
Right, well, I took nearly enough worms with me, but obviously some anglers come out and give me some worms, and I think I brought a couple of kilo when I was out there. But the ground bait, being supplied ground bait by Hinders, that I'm a consultant for, they send me enough, and I take it over in my van. But I take just enough so I've got if it's 5 festivals, that's 25 days. Then it's a Sunday in between, so that's another 4 Sundays. So I base it on 30 days fishing. And I literally come back with just 2 bags of ground bait.
What about maggots? How do you? Is it local shops that you?
Maggots, you can get the bait out there.
Right.
There's a bait van on all the festivals. That's no problem with bait, so you can buy all your bait out there.
Right. Okay.
But worms and ground bait is all I take.
Because
so that's answered the question there.
I actually fished in a little tournament in Lochgowner 36 years ago. When you mentioned that, my old man was a school teacher, and he used to take. I can't remember the guy's name now. It'll come to me. It was Anglers World Holidays. Cliff Smart, I think was his name.
Cliff Smart, yeah.
And we went to Lochgowner. Dad took a whole bunch of lads from the school he taught at, and I wasn't there. I tagged along with them. But we fished a tournament actually in Lochgowner. So when you were talking about all these places, it was ringing bells, and I was thinking, wow, that was a long time ago. Yeah. But we had to take our maggots with us then. We had to take everything across.
Yeah, they probably didn't. No one was there to supply them then.
No, there wasn't at all. No,
but now you've got bait vans now on all the festivals, which is brilliant. Because if you didn't, it would be a bit of a nightmare.
That'd be a disaster,
especially for me. Especially for me, I get the question, do you turn all your own casters? I think, no, thank you. I do that every day of the week. I don't want to do it when I'm on holiday.
No, exactly.
Stick with the sight cast, especially in August when all I've done all day is just turn gallons and gallons.
Turn casters.
I've got this vision of Polly in Ireland with his van and a trailer full of ground bait. Just going from tournament to tournament.
Because to be fair, you don't really need a lot of ground bait. Because people think, I'll have to take 100 weights and 100. You don't need a lot of ground bait. And very important, obviously, your ground bait, I'm always mixed up in the morning at the digs where you're staying. And you have 2 mixes. One's a slightly damper mix, which is your pole mix. And then obviously your feeder mix is not as damp. is a less wet mix, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot
because if you've got a wet mix in your feeder, it'll be stuck in your feeder and it'll come back in it, and you don't want that.
So you can just keep it going, the two mixes going, I suppose. Is it?
Sorry, if you what, Andy?
So you can just, how long is each festival? Do you think it's 5-day festivals?
Yeah.
So
it's a week's festival, 5 days, each day.
If you've got, are some of them feeder only? Like you're going to be on big locks, you've got to be fishing the feeder, or does it depend on the swims that you draw?
No, because when I first went to Ireland, they said, "Oh no, don't take your pole there; it's just feeder." And because I was taking everything, setting everything up, and I can think of lots of times that they said you won't catch on the pole there, and caught like 15 kilo roach on the pole.
Yeah. So you've got to you can keep both mixes going for the 5 days, I suppose, depending on where you draw and just.
Yeah.
Well, you just have your mixes with you. You got. So what happens? The whistle starts, and people say it's not a pole peg. So you ball it in on the pole line. So you've got some bait there. Start on the feeder. You can never start on the pole, and you must start on the feeder.
Yeah.
You can't do it the other way around. You've got to start on the feeder. And even if people start on the pole next to they're catching, you start on the feeder. Give it half hour, so you put some bait out there. You've balled it in on the pole line, you can come in your pole line and only get better because you're not taking fish from it.
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of the time in Ireland, like say, you need a bit of ground bait, but especially in the south, there's a lot of loose feeding, so you're sort of taking 6-8 pints of casters with you to your peg, which obviously you can roll over to the next day if you don't use them.
Exactly. And your ground bait, I think, because a lot of ground baits are hemp-based, I think you might get away if it's, well, this year I did get away a couple of times where it hasn't been warm, it's been cool, not to throw it all the way. So you just add to the mix, just top it up.
Yeah. Do you use much like Aramix or molasses sort of to the water, or do you just mix straight in water?
No, it's just the mix I done with Hinders, a supercharged natural black. I add brown crumb to it. I had a third of brown crumb. I took they done some special 3 kilo bags.
Yeah.
And so I was putting a kilo of ground bait to a kilo of brown crumb to 3 kilos of a supercharged natural black, and that was the mix. And all it was a dry mix for the feeder and a damper mix for the pole.
Yeah, straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, very simple. But I think anglers do complicate it for themselves. Yeah. Oh, a bit of this, a bit of that. Need a little bit of this in, a bit of colour, a bit. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Any other sort of little tips and that you'd give to the listeners for Ireland?
Well, obviously, I bet a lot of listeners probably don't use braid, and it is very important to use braid and with a shock leader.
Yeah.
And to go more in depth than that, a shock leader is adding maybe a 10-pound monofilament joined to your braid, and then you can wind that down so you get probably 3 turns of the shock leader on your spool.
Yeah.
So you're casting actual nylon that all the rest is tied to, and that acts a little bit of a shock absorber as well.
Yeah.
And I always put a few turns on the reel, because when you get them big hybrids coming in, you get a couple of turns on, it's like a little bit of elastic then, rather than that direct braid.
Yeah.
Some anglers fish direct braid, and I think
they do. I mean, I have sort of, obviously the other key thing for Ireland is tie plenty of shock leaders up on the spool. So if you do have a crack off or something happens, or you get zebraed on a shelf, you can just wind in and connect it straight back up.
Put one on and you're fishing again. Yeah.
Exactly the same spot. I mean, preparation in Ireland for them festivals is a massive thing as well, isn't it?
Definitely. And just things like quick chain swivels. Matrix have brought them out now for the hook length. So your feeder's just on a snap swivel, clips on, hook length straight on one of the quick change hook length swivels, bang, and you're fishing again.
Yeah.
Don't make it complicated.
What sort of setup do you use? Do you use like seems to be the norm, the helicopter setup, or do you fish in a little?
No, but I did have a go with that once this year, because the thing is with a helicopter one, it doesn't tangle.
No.
And the way I use it does tend to tangle a couple of times. I take a boom off the main line, which I attach my hook length swivel to, and I take my hook length off that, and I make sure that comes just past the feeder. Yeah, a couple of times that will tangle round the feeder. It just pulls out, but a couple of times it can tangle, and I'm thinking, do I go on to that helicopter one, because that is such free running, and you can adjust your hook length further up your line away from the feeder.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when you're catching a lot of fish and you're in and out all the time, and it takes a lot of strain on your kit, and having the right shock leader material makes a big difference as well.
Definitely.
With hook lengths.
Definitely.
Do you use fluorocarbon? I mean, there's a big debate.
No, I don't. I do not use fluorocarbon. I use just normal monofilament. Yeah. I mean, I use the Power Micron that Matrix do for all my hook lengths. I use that up to I did tie some 023, but I went back. 018 is like the maximum I personally use. And I find that the maggots will float with that, but after a while, the vortex when you cast in pulls them down anyway. Mm-hmm. And any listeners listening in, that when feeder fishing, however long your hook length, be it floating maggots or not, because of the vortex, when the feeder goes down and hits the bottom, if you've got a 5 foot or 20 foot hook length, provided it's not a river and there's a lot of flow on it, your bait will always land within a foot of your feeder.
It's amazing, isn't it? To think
and that's when people say, I wound it on, I just wound it, and it was on, or you pick up, it was on, it must have took as I picked up. No, you've picked up, tightened up your hook length to the fish, it was there, it got your bait, but it was still feeding. Mm. It's incredible, because we've done some underwater filming, or I did with Matrix, with Rob Hughes, who went out, he went underwater, and every time I cast a feeder out, whatever hook length, it landed within 12 inches of the feeder, which I found that was the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
Can I just butt in a bit? Sorry, guys. So, Mark, I'm listening to your setup for Ireland, and it's a bit, would you say it's a bit bolt riggish with the helicopter setup? Are these hybrids hooking themselves?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Sorry, what, in what way?
Because being from the Fens, the way we used to bream fish was have the old paternoster style. So you might have a 3 or 4 foot hook length, but you probably have that a good foot and a half up from the bomb. So you use swing tip. You'd see the whole thing go out as the...
I understand.
Yeah, but now you guys you're using braid, and obviously with the shock leader, it sounds as though these fish are hooking themselves, basically, like bolt rig style. Would you think is that happening, or is it a bit of both?
They do hook themselves, but you can get bites pick up and there's just nothing there. And you come back, your maggots are absolutely smashed. You think, how the hell did I miss that?
Mm. Yeah. Especially with skimmers and stuff like that. They're the worst.
And the worst thing to do is your tick goes round is to strike. You just pick up.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of them strike, and they've actually pulled out of the fish on the strike.
Particularly
especially fishing with braid.
Braid straight through, nothing's going to give, is it?
It's so abrupt. Even if you've got a shock leader, you just got to be so careful.
Yeah.
So always pick up on the bite, not strike on the bite.
So just going back on something you touched on earlier, Polly, about floating maggots. What's the best way you found of doing it?
There's a lot of people use Coke or Sprite because they think there's bubbles in there in the water. I just find the best way is I'll get a good few handfuls of maggots in the bottom of the bucket, that the water's just below their head sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So they're like little fish just trying to gasp for air in the bottom of the bucket. I put a little plastic circle I've got to put down to stop them crawling up the bucket, and you literally 10 or 15 minutes, and they'd have took enough air in. Then what I do, I top the bucket up with water, and all the reds that are floating on the top, I scoop them out with a sieve, and now the floaters. And I put in a can with a cut-out lid so they can't crawl out, and now your floaters. Derek Willen, the partner of mine in the World Pairs, he'll then put them in maize so they're easy to pick up and hook, because they're floating. Even if they're dry, they still float.
Right.
But I like to keep them a little bit warm because they stay soft. Yeah. A bit like a gosser.
Yeah,
that's the best way I find, because if you just put some pop with them or a bit of water, and then they're there on your tray, all matched, and the whistle goes, you pick 4 or 5 out and put them on the hook. That mean they're going to be floating, because they don't all float.
Yeah. Brilliant. We covered some quite good points there and essential bits for Ireland, so that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, all the guys that know they can come in and phone you up and come to the shops. I know you'll have bits and pieces there that they'll need.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to think sort of 5-6 years ago, any new products from the manufacturers were all carp orientated. Now, all the products, like ready tied barbed hooks and on the 1 metre spools.
And they can all come in your shop and buy my MP Roach floats for Ireland as well, can't they?
They can.
Just a little plug.
Yeah. I tell you what, Mark, that was perfect timing, because I was going to say, is Alex stocking your ground bait as well?
Indeed,
I
yeah.
saw Alex, he
Cool.
stocks Hinder's ground bait, which my range is with them, yeah.
So Alex,
I think
think
Alex stocks everything.
Alex, I think this is an opportune moment
Most
just to
things.
do a bit of a plug for the. We don't care on this podcast at all, Mark. We really don't care. So
Yeah.
I think Alex, give it a plug. Come on, tackle shop time.
Yeah. So obviously, all of Polly's floats that he uses, the braid, the Matrix 010,
Yeah.
08 submerge, obviously the window feeders we mentioned, Polly's floats, Hinder's supercharged or Polly's supercharged ground bait, and also his punch crumb with a bit of a twist. We'll cover that later when we talk about March.
I think another thing, it's not that being a consultant for Matrix, I think Matrix is a brand that's really grown the last few years, but they've got a superb rod range. And the rods for Ireland, where people are spending like £300 and £400 for rods to go to Ireland, and in the Matrix range, you've got rods under £200 that are just superb for Ireland. Beautiful rods. Yeah. So you haven't got to spend a lot of money on your tackle.
They're good rods for the price, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, in the World Pairs, there's quite a few German anglers in my rotation, and they were all using Matrix, and they were hitting all the distances everyone else was. And they were absolutely spot on for the job. Really was.
Yeah.
I mean, Matrix are really going from strength to strength as a brand, aren't they? And
it's unreal.
Got some real good products coming out soon. There's some new feeders as well, I think. Brilliant. So I think we're going to cover the old match results now. Is that okay with you, Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see how many 17-year-olds thrashed you this week.
Not this week. Not this week, I'm afraid.
That's the Winter League, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sonny won it. Was it the last round or the first round?
The first round he did really well. Yeah, well done to him. Well done.
Well, before we go on to the match results, I did have a quick look yesterday down through March, and it did look like there was a lot of fish being caught. But when I spoke to Alex before we came on air, so to speak, he was making excuses up already. So this will be interesting.
Excuses?
No, don't have to make excuses, huh?
No.
Not where Alex draws anyway, bless you.
Yeah. No, I draw flies apparently every week. Yeah.
He was saying to me, he goes, I keep drawing the same section. It's not fair. Oh, it was pitiful. Anyway, Alex, come on, match result time. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the main one obviously was the East Midlands Winter League practice match, which was the old Neen at March. I think it was sell out 75 pegs, something like that, I think, Polly.
Yeah.
They planned to use some pegs above the bypass and obviously from behind the swimming pool up to the bypass bridge. But I think with the amount of rain we've had, they couldn't use
a nightmare.
It's quite dangerous up there anyway. So we used 14 pegs at Waterside Gardens, and I think you were up there, weren't you, Polly, somewhere?
Yeah, peg 6. I was peg 6.
Another flyer,
Tony Watling was peg 5 and Nuddy was peg 7.
I bet there was some banter there, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had a good laugh. But no, we all caught fish. Bob had £19. He was second in my section. I won the section with £28 something. Yeah. And young Tony Watling on my right had £20. I think he had £20 exactly.
Yeah.
But I caught a lot of roach. I had a few skimmers, but I caught a lot of roach. I had a little white boat opposite. Whether that helped, it was a feature. But I opted, because of the colour and the flow, to leave squat alone, although I put some in the ground bait, and I loose-fed Pinky. Didn't feed any emp and just fished Pinky on a light rig and a heavier rig, Captain Oddballs of ground bait, and I caught some lovely roach. I think I probably had 3 roach and probably 3 gustas that were probably an ounce, and they were smallest fish. Every other fish was like 3 ounce and upwards. Real nice fish. It was good fishing. And Bob was saying, whatever we're catching here, they'd be doubling behind the swimming pool. And it was nearly, he was an iron right.
He was. It was fantastic fishing, wasn't it? I mean, obviously you was the best weight sort of below Wigston, should we say, below the town bridge.
Yeah.
You had a lot of skimmers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you did really, really well. And then we'll move further upstream, and this is where I think the top 5 were all in the same section.
It wasn't Stan. Last in his section with £21.
Yeah, I think he was in the next section, I think.
Right.
Yeah. It was phenomenal fishing.
But the section that there was 240s in or something, because you get your section by default in the open match.
Yeah.
That all 5 of them framed, so no one won the section. So they donated that to charity, I think, didn't they?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, for the air ambulance or whatever,
Yeah,
which I think is a good shout.
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, by Bob.
It's
Cheesy Bob, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy being cheesy.
No, it isn't.
No.
But he knows.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall winner was Steve Goodrum, which is good to see Steve back because he sort of stopped fishing for probably 10 years, I reckon. He's fished with Peterborough and he's back fishing the Mark 1 lads now.
Yeah.
He had 45 pound 2, which I think that must be close to one of the biggest weights at March, especially of all small fish. I think you had a big 40 pound, didn't you?
I had 46 pounds something on the bypass. That was 11 tension, 3 bream or something.
Yeah, I mean that's a brilliant weight. But 45 pound of gusters and skimmers is really
incredible.
Really good.
That's the best weight I've heard of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and then you had Alistair Ogilvie next peg but 1 away, and he's had.
Oh, was he in the match? I thought he was pleasure fishing.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to mention that. Probably, yeah. I think he's got his post delivered there. He draws down there that often.
Yeah.
I think I even read a comment. I think Neil Parkinson put something like, "I didn't realise you were going to the swimming pool every Sunday."
He's always drawn there.
Yeah. But never.
But still good weights. I mean, 40 pound as well.
Yeah, I think he was 4 ounces less. He had like 44.14 or something like that. And they all caught down the middle, ground bait and pinky, similar to how you've described.
Yeah.
I think Alistair had a lot of smaller fish. I think he had.
Well, I spoke to him yesterday after the match, and what I was amazed with, where we was down the BMX, there was a handful of gusters, or as listeners listening, they're silver bream, which March is renowned for, and yet there was loads of silver bream caught behind the swimming pool. So they obviously showed up there.
Yeah. I think I spoke to my dad, and he walked along the match, and he said sort of it was noticeable that from basically the health centre bridge all the way below that, the colour was totally different to above it, as if like because of the rain there was some sort of storm drains or whatever they are, and going into the river, and that's obviously made it fish a bit better.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot more skimmers caught.
Yeah.
So
that colour.
Yeah, a bit of colour.
Amazing. I mean, gives the fish more confidence in feeding colour. Definitely
does.
Yeah.
What about weed? Did you have much weed problems where you were?
No, and yet Rob Wright and Simon next to him, they threw the rakes in, and all they come back with was a couple of little tiny branches, and it wasn't worth doing, although it put colour in the water. Yeah. But it didn't help us. I think Rob didn't weigh in, and Simon had 5 pounds, which was the lowest weight down there.
Yeah.
So, but if you've got a lot of weed, then maybe it's worth doing. But I mean, I never rake it. I just find a clear bit and just fish it. But I think sometimes it can help because you can run your rigs through, but then does it take the fish away?
Yeah. So, what sort of rigs do you use on March end? Is it the favoured MP1s?
Yeah, MP1s. And the MP Roach Carbon. The MP Roach Carbon stem using in 1/2 and 3/4 gram maximum with what I'd use if the conditions like they were yesterday. And then on the Roach rig, 7B10 and a 5B10. And then if it's very shallow, maybe a 3B10. But the MP1s, so slight wire stem, especially when you lose speed and you lay it in, it's partly starting to cock and you can just read it better.
Yeah.
You can't really fish on the top of a carbon stem, not properly, not like that, not with them floats. Yeah. Which is probably the best-selling float, the MP1. I mean, I do sell a lot of them this time of the year. Well, as you know, you sell a lot of them, Alex.
Yeah, so. Very popular shop. Yeah. Very popular. Yeah. Brilliant float. I mean, they were, when you were at Fox Match, weren't they? They were MP5s or MP6s, the same sort of shape and float, weren't they, I think, were they?
Yeah. Well, the MP6 that was with Fox was arranged, that was a carbon stem version. Yeah. And I just feel there wouldn't be, although some people have asked for a carbon stem, the MP1 and the carbon stem, I just don't feel at the moment that I would sell enough of them to warrant getting them done. No.
The wire stems and are they a hollow bristle or fibre?
No, they're a painted fibre bristle.
Yeah,
same as the MP.
They're really visual, aren't they?
Oh yeah, stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Especially the way you shot them, but
Yeah.
you meant to put the body under the water.
Yeah. That's where I'm going. Right? Yeah, good one. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
only joking, mate. Don't take it like that.
Yeah. No.
We're going to have to rename this podcast "Banter from the Tackle Shop." Right, Alex, come on. What's the rest of the results? Because there was quite a lot of fish caught way through, weren't there?
There was, yeah. So I think last in the frame was Martin Roper with £32.2.
Incredible.
So that was the lowest weight in that 5-peg section, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, I think it was, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think the lowest section winning weight was poor old Gary Miller. He's another one that draws like me. Bless him. And he's drawn, I think, 3 or 4 down from the bypass and won that section with just over £10. But what is noticeable, there's so many fish in the river at the minute, and it's still early, isn't there?
I think it'd be brilliant on Sunday because it's going to be damp and wet. There's been no frosts. There'd be, if anything, that would be running because we've got a little bit of rain to run. I think it'd be just as good. Might even be better because it's had a bit of food and the fish will be looking for it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not in your section. Well, I hope I am because then I'll be on some fish. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Right. So the actual official March Open is the 27th of this month, which is not next week, it's the week after. So for all those anglers not associated with the East Midlands Winter League, that is an open match, definitely worth fishing.
Be able to fish.
Yeah, just get in contact with Bob Fish John or contact me and I'll give you his details and we can go from there. Other local matches, we'll talk about the Ramsey Club match at Ramsey Narrows, which is a venue we don't get to fish as much, Polly, because we don't seem to be sort of get the numbers of pegs on there, but it's fished really well. Mount Payne, that's a blast from a pass, that one.
Yeah.
Mount Plant won it from peg 3. He had £21 free, which normally at the Narrows you associate with a few tench and stuff like that. But he had all small fish, lots of small rudd, roach, little skimmers and stuff. Dave Norville, another angler that used to fish for Waves, I think. He had 16-15. And then third was Keith Don't Show Us Your Teeth Raymond with 12-12. So, he sneaked in there, so that'll be a small fish weight. I mean, they have an open match every Wednesday for those looking for a midweek match, and that's on the St Mary stretch, the Old Neem, and I think they draw about 8 o'clock, 8:30. It's not serious money. They're a good bunch of lads. I think Ken won the last match with £8.5, so that's definitely worth going to if you want a nice friendly match in the week. It was good to see that the Whittlesea Saturday series had started on, and they used Cock Bank, another venue we don't fish a lot. But that was one with £14.10 by Jeff Tuttleby. I think he had some small fish and then spawned a £4 bream on the whip, so that always works nicely.
Still good fishing, Alex, though, isn't it?
Oh,
Still good fishing.
Yeah, I mean, the Cock Bank is such a underrated venue sometimes, especially not just for match fishing, but I see Guru with, I think, Dean Macy, they were doing a sort of a specimen hunt for rudd, and you could clearly see it was on Cock Bank all round Burnt House and through the bends and stuff like that. So it's one of the venues. It's a shame it doesn't produce more pegs because it's all in a row and it's the right width, and although you don't get the really big weight, as a match venue, it's quite good, isn't it, really?
Well, the last time we used it, I know it fished hard, but didn't a junior have £38 a tench? Kai Jerome. I'd say a junior. I mean, I thought he was a junior, but
yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that actually, because I think he's gonna be our guest next week, so he can tell us about that. He must have drawn a peg that day, mustn't he?
Or he was junior at the time when he.
Right.
I think
yeah.
Someone smaller than me. Unbelievable.
Oh, bless him. But yeah, so that's a couple on the drains, and the other one was the Tid Goat match. I know in the week they seemed to struggle a bit. I think the fish did a bit of a disappear in that, but they went down to Main Road again, and big fish Kilby turned into small fish Kilby this week, and he had, I think, £15.7, and that was all small fish, I think, in the
Brilliant
bridge. And then Pete Emery was second with 10-12. So all the drains, in the match.
It's brilliant fishing.
They're brilliant, aren't they?
We're
really
spoiled.
Very, very lucky, aren't we? And then, obviously, that's about it, really, for the natural venues. We'll talk a bit about the results at Rookery. And I think you fished, I know you did, on Saturday.
Yes.
You drew J28, didn't you? You had a nice day, but just that rain. Yeah. It was so close, wasn't it?
A bit rusty, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? When people think, you can just, when you've been in Ireland for 5 weeks and then you come back and completely changing the style of fishing.
Yeah.
And when you're fishing against really good anglers as well.
Oh, because they're on it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, one question I'm going to ask you, Polly. Obviously, you see a lot about the big weights and stuff like that, not just at Piddly, but other venues all over the country.
Yeah,
you see the comments, and anglers are saying, I could have caught £200. And it sort of frustrates me a little bit because I'm like you, obviously working at the fishery and fishing natural venues.
Yeah.
And they sort of say anyone can catch them and, that's not fishing and all this and all that. And when I look at it, I think, well, hang on a minute. Why don't you actually, instead of slating it, why don't you actually try it yourself and see if you can catch £200? Because it's not easy, is it?
It's not easy to catch £200.
I mean, these lads that are catching these big weights, that's what they do, It's like you at your, on March, squat fishing, you're at the top of the game, and these boys know what they're doing on commercials. And it's a bit harsh to criticise, I personally think, anyway, you know.
I mean, each their own what they like doing, but when someone says, it's boring catching £200 a carp, most of the people that say that, they've never caught £200 a carp. Yeah. And so,
I think it's the green-eyed monster guys, isn't it? If we have this in pike fishing, you see, people, they mock trout water pike and say, they're easy.
Right, yeah.
You go and try and catch.
But they'd love to catch a pike that size.
Oh, yeah. I just think, it's easy to say things. It's darn difficult to go and do it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the other thing is as well, say, I've had enough of commercial fisheries and all this and all that, and without them at the end of the day, fishing wouldn't be where it is, would it?
No, it isn't.
And the other thing you got to remember is these anglers that sort of slate commercial anglers, all them fish, it's not right and stuff like that. Well, at the end of the day, when you're catching 30 and 40 pound of roach and skimmers, how many fish have you got in your net? Do you know what I mean? It's sort of arc at the pot calling the kettle to a certain extent. At the end of the day, we all enjoy fishing, and just because you don't agree or whatever doesn't mean you should sort of put people down, because fishing is fishing at the end of the day, isn't it?
You should do the fishing you enjoy. Yeah. If other people are doing fishing that you don't necessarily agree with, don't slag them off. Let them get on with it. Or don't go there and say, I'm not enjoying this. Don't do it. Do what you enjoy doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alex, are you feeling a bit? Is that better? Has that got a weight off your shoulders now? Is that therapeutic?
Yeah.
Very therapeutic for you.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Sorry. He was having a whinge. Right, I think you wanted to ask Mark some questions about how we'd go about fishing the commercials, and one method in particular which caught my ears earlier, something about bread dobbing or something.
Yeah, bread dobbing. So
bread.
Obviously, we've had a few questions to ask you, knowing you'd be on this week, and anglers coming in the shop. Why is Polly so good in the winter? I said, well, he obviously draws really well, which that helps.
Exactly, yeah.
But even out of a mediocre peg, you seem to sort of produce the goods, and there's a bit more to it than just laying your rig in and just catching 3 or 4 fish. Yeah. So if you could just tell us sort of what floats you use and lines and shot in, and where you sort of look in your peg to sort of...
The most important thing with dobbing bread is you're fishing the correct depth. And, I mean, I still learn myself how different magic works, that the fish are never on the bottom. They're always within 8 inches off the bottom to probably 1.5 foot below the surface. And I couldn't tell anyone what depth they're going to catch at. That is between that depth, and you definitely catch a few more fish. But it's important to have the correct setup, though, when you're hooking the fish. And the main thing is, I'll fish 020 main line, 016 or 018, depending if you're dobbing in lilies. But probably an 016 hook length, 14 hook, and probably an 8mm, as a general guide, an 8mm punch piece of bread, but a double punch. So 2 thick slices, punch them. I use the matrix bread punches. You get 4 in a set, 4, 6, 8 and 10. As a general rule, the 8, and you punch it so it forms a real hard pellet that will sink and that will puff up as well. And just hook it as normally, hook it through the slit. Fish a bulk at half depth. So at half depth between your hook and your float. And sometimes you're fishing probably 16 metres, and if it's a 16 metre rule, you might want to swing it. So you might fish a float up to maybe a 0.4 of a gram float. And I use MP6, my MP6, which has got a wire sprung eye round the bristle. It's like a rugby ball shape, a glass stem, and a painted bristle top. That's you can see it really sticks out like a sore thumb. And you never fish one place, you dob about. So if you've got reeds, you dob along the reeds, even open water, but you'll dob all different places in the open water. And it's amazing that you could dob 2 or 3 fish in one spot, maybe enough is another spot, come back, not a fish, move the float up 6 inches, in there again, under it goes again. It's just where the layers they're laying, they'll drop a few inches. But it's a sight thing. If it's in front of them, they've got to have it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of anglers come in the shop say, bread dobbing's easy. If they're in front of you, you catch them. Yeah, to a certain extent, but there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there? There's a bit more swim management.
Well, I just said that pulling it in different places, changing your depth.
Yeah.
And another thing, having the correct elastic as well. Because, if you're in snags, in lilies, you need a strong elastic to pull them away from the lilies and then take your time as you're coming in. If you're open water and you use a strong elastic, you're going to hook a fish coming back and you'll pull out of them. Yeah.
So obviously a lot of the time at Rookery it's fishing for carp, but on Raven we've got quite a few F1s and stuff like that. So is it normally a maggot approach or soft pellet? What sort of depth are you looking for? And
what, through the winter time we're talking about?
Yeah, so like now they're still having a little bit of a munch and it's sort of a softly approach.
Yeah.
When
well, you might snare a few on bread, but then it becomes maggot and soft pellet. Now, I tend to feed a few damper micros with a few dead red maggots or a few live red maggots, and then just try on the hook and see which is working, and then cut out the one that's not working. You can feed both, and then find out which one works. But if you go as a maggot approach, it might be a pellet. Go as a pellet approach, it might be maggot. So doing that gives you best of both worlds, and you can quickly change. Or you could feed 2 pegs, one with maggot across and one with pellets across, and just find which one is working, and you stick to that. But I don't think it doesn't harm just feeding both. They're only fish that want to feed. I ain't going to think, oh, Christ, there's pellets and maggots there, I'm going somewhere else. They just eat what they want to eat, and then you'll find what they're feeding on. But normally Raven is very good with maggots as it gets colder, and down the middle in the deep water, maggots out your hand, and then fishing a rig down at the bottom. It's unbelievable. Them mirrors that are in there are just incredible. But lots of F1s
fish
now as
well.
Oh, them mirrors, and then the F1s together.
They're very sort of the last sort of half an hour you can nick 5 or 6 on that short line, can't you? They tend to be quite big. They're probably the only strain of carp that will have a bit of a munch even when the weather is cold. No, they're brilliant.
They're good size now, like 4 to 8 pound fish, aren't they?
Some they can do, yeah. I mean, I think the ones in Raven, they're just at the right size at the minute. They're like 12 ounce to 1.5 pounds, and they're just the right size to still feed through the winter. I mean, when they get quite big, they do tend to act a bit like the normal carp, don't they?
Yeah.
A bit time orientated when they feed, but
It's got to be at the right time, at the right place, right time, doing the right thing to get them.
That's it. Yeah.
That's another important thing.
So that's brilliant, Polly. Thanks for that. I think that's answered quite a few questions.
Yeah.
The essential things, anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll just talk about the match results. So the overall winner was Steve Hayward from Melton Mowbray. He's a brilliant F1 type angler. Fishes
good angler, Steve.
He is, yeah. And he's won the match and the golden peg from peg 8 on Raven, and he's had 80 fish for his £150 too. He's caught on banded hard pellet, which is a method. This time of year, it normally goes all maggoty and soft baits, doesn't it? So it just goes to show they are still willing to have a bit of a feed.
Yeah, definitely.
And then because of the continental payout, it then switches over to J Lake, which is the one you were on. I think Dennis Page had £147. Yeah, which is a decent weight on there. I mean, they're a bit bigger fish, so you can sort of not worry about if you're behind after a couple of hours. They could rock up late and put some weight. I mean, you've had
137, was it?
Yeah, £137. Have you mainly caught carp, or have you caught any F1s? Or?
Well, I caught lots of what I call stockies, 6 ounce to 10 ounce carp. Never caught so many out there before across. On maggot. Maggot was best. And I got maggot out of my hand. And then literally the last 2 hours I've been catching person. I come down, it was just the carp a chuck.
Yeah.
And some good fish as well. And I had 2 that broke me because I was fishing 0.14 and I should have set up for 0.16. And those 2 fish were £10 plus. I'd have won the match myself with them 2 fish.
Yeah. Yeah, it was real close, wasn't it? I mean,
it was very close.
I think you was 5th in the match with that. I think there was a 149 dead on Raven. Alex Reynolds, he's had 80 odd fish as well. Caught on maggots down in the deeper water and a few down the edge. And then Adam Playfield on peg 3 on Jay. He had 139. And he caught a few fish early on bread. So
he did. He dobbed a few on bread. I think he said he dobbed about £50 on bread early.
Yeah, the colour's definitely draining out of all the eggs now.
Yeah.
And it's getting that time of year where it's shallow feed, charter feed.
Yeah.
No, it's tricky time of year for commercial fishing.
All about decisions. Make the wrong decision and that's it,
Yeah. So that's about it on the old match results. I don't know if Andy's got anything else he wants to add.
No, just it was fascinating listening to the natural results. I mean, the fishing around the area is it's on fire, isn't it, really? It's fantastic fishing. And then you've got crazy results for piddly as well. I mean, for a match angler in this area, you absolutely spoiled for choice. I think it's quite amazing.
I mean, I'm not just saying it because Alex is sitting just there, but that with Piddly and with Alex, I mean, Rookery Waters, people call it Piddly, but Rookery Waters and Alex with a shot there, I mean, it's a credit to the area and to the sport. It's fantastic what they have to offer there for the anglers now, and they're travelling, quite long journeys now to come there to fish the matches the weekend and to actually shop at the shop, because it's a credit to you, Alex. The shop offers anglers everything they need. It's superb. Everything all under one roof.
You're right. I think one thing we'll do at one point in the future is we'll try and do an audio walkthrough of the shop, because that's one of the reasons we do this. It is to push the shop and the area, because it's important that as anglers we support our local tackle shops. I mean, that is something we're going to talk about in the future, and the struggles faced by tackle shops.
Definitely.
With all this online competition. But Mark, you're spot on. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I do this with Alex, because he is just so enthusiastic about the sport, and not just about promoting himself and his tackle shop and Piddly, but the whole Fenland area. So, Alex, it caps off to you. You've done a fantastic thing. Mark, I've just been listening to it. It's an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank
There's
you.
so much more we could talk about, but I think we need to start wrapping things up. Otherwise, it's going to be the longest podcast in history, and Apple might not let me even put this on their podcast. But I think what I'd like to do is, first of all, thank you very, very much for your time and knowledge. It's been fantastic listening to you. And maybe if we could have you back on in the new year, because
no problem at all.
I would like to broach the coaching role that you have with you as well. And also, it'd be pretty cool that you could give us kind of a resume of your match results from, say, now until, I don't know, February time or March, whenever we get you back on. That would be fantastic. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Alex.
No, thank you.
Alex, a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andy.
Have we got Kai lined up for next week?
Yeah, Kai's going to come on next week. He's just come back from France. I think as we speak, he come back today. Fishing a Census big challenge competition out there, and hopefully he's going to be talking to us about the Environment Agency and his role and what they sort of do. So I think that'll be another real interesting guest.
Well, you're right. I think also what we could ask any listeners out there is if they could start sending us questions in for Kai, particularly the Environment
Yep.
Agency linked ones. That would be really good. So, obviously, when you pop into the shop to see Alex, ask him questions. We need to up our Facebook and Instagram followers, and feel free to send us messages on those forums as well. And then obviously we'll post those questions to Kai next week. So yeah, if we can get all that going, that would be fantastic. So I think this just leaves me to say thank you to all our listeners out there. This has been Tales from the Tackle Shop, a Fenland Fishing TV production.